want to show you how to make a recipe that's been in my family for generations. It actually comes from my wife's grandmother, who was Polish, and she used to make this rustic plum yogurt cake. I've tweaked the original recipe just a little bit, which we call Sam cake in honor of my wife's grandmother, but we'll get to those changes in a little bit. I want to encourage you to try this recipe for yourself. It's really easy, great for beginner bakers, and it's incredibly versatile. You don't have to use plums, you can use anything from peaches, nectarines, blueberries, even apples. As always, I'll include a link in the description to my blog, which will have a lot more details. But for now, let's get cooking. We're gonna start out by adding 1 egg. This is a 1/2 cup of sugar, and I actually took a tablespoon out of the sugar to reserve for later. So it's a 1/2 cup minus a tablespoon of sugar. We're simply gonna beat this until it's light and pale. It'll take about 1 to 2 minutes to beat this. Nothing fancy here. I think in the original recipe that my wife's grandmother made, the Sam cake, it actually had no egg, which is interesting. And to be honest, you could tell that it had no egg. And it had a very small amount of sugar, I think just a tablespoon. But the idea was she probably used a yogurt that had sugar already in it. And this is not. We're just gonna use regular Greek yogurt. Next, we're gonna add the yogurt. This is a 1/2 cup of plain Greek yogurt. You can use a regular yogurt or plant-based yogurt if you want to make this dairy-free. You're not gonna make this vegan because there's the egg, but you can make it dairy-free by using a plant-based alternative. And as I said, you can also just use plain yogurt instead of Greek yogurt. I let the yogurt sit out for about 15-30 minutes to come to room temperature, and that makes it blend into the batter easier, no lumps. Okay, from here you could add some vanilla or lemon zest if you want, but we're gonna make this closer to my wife's grandmother's cake, which had nothing in it. Slowly drizzle in some oil. This is olive oil. You can use vegetable canola. You can even use melted butter, which I've done before, but that'll make for a richer cake, obviously. And slowly drizzle this thing so you're trying to emulsify it, almost like you're making mayonnaise. Mayonnaise cake. All right. And that's a 1/4 cup of oil. Now I'm gonna add, I know this is crazy, but I'm gonna add some baking powder right to the cake, right to the batter. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Typically when you bake, you want to add the dry ingredients all together, but I've made this so many times and it doesn't seem to matter. The baking powder seems to blend into this batter without any issues. So again, that's a teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of table salt. Next up, we're gonna add flour. This is a cup of all-purpose flour, and we're gonna add 1/2 of it first. And we're just gonna blend this up a little bit. The Sam cake, the original Sam cake, the batter was more like a dough, to be honest. And it's because there was no egg and there was a lot more flour. But this is closer to an Italian style or a French style yogurt cake. That's good. We're gonna go in with the rest of the flour. That's good. The batter will be thick, but you should be able to whisk it. You can do this in a stand mixer. You can use an electric hand mixer, but it's easy enough just to do it all by hand. So you see it's nice and thick, just like cake batter, because that's what it is. I'm scraping the edges here. You can switch to a rubber spatula if you want, but this is fine. This is good. Okay, that's it. Cake batter is done. Next, we're gonna move on to the plums. Next up, we're gonna slice our plums. These are, I think black or Italian plums, I'm not actually sure. Got them at the grocery store. You want 8 ounces of plums, which for these are 2 medium. If you're using smaller plums, obviously you would wanna use more. So all we're gonna do is cut them in half. There we go. Beautiful plum. And then we're just gonna slice them into about 1/4 inch thick slices. This is an 8-inch cake pan, metal cake pan, and we're just gonna hit it with a little cooking spray. And then I cut out a piece of parchment, arts and craft with my kids, put that in the bottom, and give it a little bit more cooking spray. Okay, now we're gonna take our batter, we're gonna add it into the pan. This time you do want to use a spatula. Obviously, scrape out the edges, no waste. It's a pretty cleaned out bowl, I'll say. Now switch to an offset spatula. Flatten this out a little bit. We should like to spin, hold the offset spatula and spin. And it should evenly spread the batter. All right, next up comes the plums. You can do this as decoratively as you like. And it's okay if they overlap a little bit. I try to pull them off the edge of the pan just a little bit. That's so that the fruit doesn't cook into the pan and stick. This is really pretty if you use the red plums if they're available. Peaches work great. We've done this with apples. We've done it with cherries and nectarines. Sky's the limits. Let's get this fellow right in there. And then we're gonna add some to the middle. Again, make this as pretty as you want. I'm not really much of a baker. Just want to share with you this recipe. And we're gonna slide this one right into here. And now we're gonna take that reserved tablespoon of sugar. We're gonna sprinkle evenly over all of the plums and the exposed parts of the cake batter. That's gonna create like a nice little crunchy bit. And voila, you have your yogurt plum cake ready to go. That's it, didn't take too long. This is gonna go in a 350-degree oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. I'll do 35 minutes in my oven, but you can check for doneness by putting a toothpick into the center of the cake, trying to avoid the plums, and it should come out clean. All right, it'll take about 35 minutes. All right, this has been 35 minutes. We're gonna let this cool in the pan for about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna take it off and cool it on this wire rack. Now that it's cooled for a little bit, we're gonna take an offset spatula and run it along the edges, just to loosen up anything. Like you see, this area is sticking a little bit because some of the plum juice or whatever attached itself to the side. Looking pretty good. From here, we can switch to a larger offset spatula. I'm gonna slide the spatula under, and boom, pop it right down. We're gonna let this continue to cool for another 15-30 minutes, and we'll be back. So that's it. This is a super simple European or Polish style yogurt plum cake adapted from my wife's grandmother's recipe, the Sam cake. Really versatile. This is like a foolproof, you can't mess this one up. Enjoy this warm, slightly warm, room temperature is great. You can cover it and leave it on the counter for up to 3 days, or wrap it tightly in plastic wrap and put it in your fridge for 4 or 5 days. But to be honest, this won't last that long. This won't last more than a day. You can double this recipe and cook it in a 9x13 baking dish, casserole dish, but it will probably take closer to 40 minutes at 350. Serving suggestions: top with powdered sugar is really great, or you can serve it with ice cream if you want it to be more of a dessert. This is not a very sweet cake. It's actually more like a brunch cake. In fact, we have it for breakfast a lot of times with just some more Greek yogurt, sometimes some fresh berries. A little drizzle of honey works well. A dusting of powdered sugar is great. So let's cut in and have a bite. That's so good. The cake, super light, super airy, somewhere between like a pound cake and like a sponge cake. And the fruit on top is sweet and tangy. I'm telling you, this is an easy recipe. Even if you don't know how to bake, you don't feel comfortable baking, this is the recipe for you. Have another bite. You gotta try out this recipe. Happy cooking, everybody.